3406.
Hello again and welcome back to the channel. Some time ago I did a review for the TIDRADIO H3, a really nice handheld on the small side, which means that it was very easy to carry, which also got some attention because of third-party firmware that was developed for this radio. Since then, a lot of things have happened. Perhaps you have seen in my videos that I stopped talking about the modified firmware because its developer decided to go to Patreon. Of course, it's a totally respectable decision. Anyway, so this radio came back to stock firmware for me, and it's one of the radios that if I want to go light and not carry much weight, I consider taking with me in my backpack. Of course, since then, TIDRADIO has released some other radios like the H8 version 3 and this one here, which is the upgrade of the H3. This is called the H3 Plus. And let's have a look what's in the box and what it offers. As always, the user manual, TD-H3 Plus, a charger and a USB-C charging cable, this is the H3 Plus, we'll see it in a minute, of course the antenna, and this package that arrived to me had also a Bluetooth wireless PTT speakerphone. Of course, 2 lanyards for the speakerphone and the radio. So let's have a look here. Okay, first impressions. As you can see, the radios are nearly identical, almost the same height. Maybe the H3 Plus is a little bit taller, just a little bit, nothing special. A few things have changed on the top of the radio, cosmetic changes mostly, like down here. I remind you, this is the H3 and this is the H3 Plus. So on the outside, as you can see, we have the same buttons, PTT, and 2 programmable buttons down here, and again here the PTT and the 2 buttons on the older H3. And on the other side, this one, as it says, it's the H3 Plus. We have the Kenwood plug, the USB-C port, and I don't know if I have to remind you, but this USB-C port, it's the one that we use for programming and communicating with our PC. Also, of course, you can use the Kenwood plug, but the USB-C port is much easier. And down here is the USB-C port for charging the battery. Now, speaking of the battery, it was immediately noticeable that it's exactly the same battery of the H3. So if you have spare batteries from an H3, you can interchange them and use them. As you can see, this is the battery from the H3 Plus in the H3, and the battery of the H3 to the H3 Plus, which operates normally. Now, later when I continue this video to my laptop to see how programming works for this radio, I'm also going to show a table that's released from TIDRADIO that outlines the differences between those 2 radios. One thing that I noticed when I powered up this radio, it seemed to me a bit faster in its user interface. And I guess this is because TIDRADIO, as they said, they have upgraded the CPU in this radio to a much faster one and also a bigger memory. Of course, this was just a feeling that I had when using this radio. Okay, a quick look in the menu system. Another thing that I saw, I don't think this happens in the H3. Let me check. When I power up and change the volume, I can't see anything on the screen, but here, as you can see, when you turn the knob, you can see exactly at which volume your radio is. Just a small enhancement, but it's good to have. Okay, let's have a look at the menu system here. First menu is radio settings. All the known settings that are in most radios, plus some extras like this one, menu color. You can change the background color of the menu items to your liking, maybe to be seen better. There is also an on-off function for those frequencies, the 200, 350 and 500 MHz. You can turn them on or off. Another menu for AM band. Again, you can turn this on or off. Some DTMF settings here. Mic gain, which you can set from 0 to 9. I believe 7 is a good option, but you can find that out with your colleagues, how they hear you. Breathing LED, this is when the screen goes off. Right now I have it always set on for the video, but when the screen goes on you can adjust how frequently the green LEDs up here will light to show you that the radio is on. Factory reset, of course. And here we have 4 menu settings for the side buttons, long press and short press, as in most radios with side buttons these days. You can assign whatever function you want in each one of them. Of course, when this button becomes the secondary PTT, the long function is disabled, which is totally normal, of course, as you can see. FM interrupt. Okay. Talk around, tone burst, side tone, alarm mode. We have seen many of these things in other radios. There is no need to go over them. Maybe if I find something interesting, I'll present it in another video. PTT delay, again DTMF, display type for A and B banks. Of course, it's a dual watch radio. ANI edit, display, single, dual and classic. Power on display, usual things here, voltage, message and picture. Brightness, backlight, it's the time. Voice if you want to hear talking for the menu, dual watch. Of course, we have it on. Keypad lock, power save. Usual options up to 1 to 4. Keypad beep, Roger beep, timeout timer. Vox, let's see, step frequency. Okay, it has also the 8.33 for the Airband, for some of you that you're interested about it. 0.5 and then we go back to 2.5. And the squelch level, of course. That was the first menu. Again, second is for the channel that we have programmed in the memory. The first two menus are kind of strangely named here. I'll have to check more about this to see if they offer something more that I am not sure about yet. Because if you go in, actually these two menus, the RX sub-audio and TX sub-audio, are the CTCSS and DCS tones, but it also has another option here that says speech. I think that this is just a mistranslation and it means that it doesn't have a tone. So yes, it's just speech, maybe. Again, you can activate CTCSS or DCS and reverse DCS, of course. Also for the transmission, bandwidth, oops, yes. TX power, we have two settings here, low and high. TIDRADIO, if you're listening, at the mid-level please. Easy lock for the channel, call code, PTT ID, scan, add, scramble. Okay, obviously it has scrambler with some options with the frequency that will be used, offset, set D, memory channel, okay, we're in number 1, delete channel, hopping, on, off. I think that we have seen this in other radios. I still believe that it's something that has to do, if you have two of the same radios, to do some hopping in near frequencies just to avoid interference. I haven't seen it in action, to say the truth. Channel name, and we're back to the top. And we go then to radio info, radio ID, okay, and alias, as you can see, it says H3 Plus, firmware 1037. At the moment of this video, it's the latest one. Scan function, of course. Scan for CTCSS and DCS. Hang time for the scanning. Scan frequency. Frequency range. As you can see here, it has a tremendous range from 100 MHz to 600 MHz. I'm not quite sure that it can listen to all those, but okay. It's interesting, that was how it came. The next one is Bluetooth, we'll see that in a minute, and SMS, which I think that it can be used between two of the same H3 Plus radios. I don't have another one, so I can't test it at the moment. And here is the biggest change from the H3, the Bluetooth. The functions of the Bluetooth in this radio have been fundamentally changed. If we go into the Bluetooth menu, we can see that it has a sub-menu that says Bluetooth on off, of course, Bluetooth mode, receiver or emitter. To put it simply, this radio can also function as a Bluetooth speaker, as any Bluetooth speaker that you have. If you pair it with a device, I recently uploaded a short video. If you search my shorts, you will see that I was receiving a call in my mobile phone, in my smartphone, and it was paired with this radio, from where I could accept or reject the call from the radio here. And if I accepted the call, I could talk through this radio to my smartphone. And also it has the emitter function. Bluetooth name, you can't change this, but you can see how you will find this radio, your radio, with your device, for example with the smartphone. Bluetooth pairing, another submenu, pairable, it starts searching for Bluetooth devices nearby. And if we open the pairing, it shows with which devices this radio is already paired. You can see I have one device here. It's the Bluetooth speakerphone. ODPTT, that's for the ODmaster, for those of you who like to use it. ODmaster mode. BT internal microphone. Speaker. Mic gain for the Bluetooth. Again, speaker gain for the Bluetooth. Pin code. Some devices need to verify a pin code. The default is 6 zeros. Just leave it there. There's no point of changing it. And of course, reset to delete all the pairings and restore the Bluetooth to its original factory settings. The H3 Plus and the H3 have an almost identical interface in the main screen. Of course, the menu is totally different. Here we have a full-blown menu. Here we have a menu down here at the bottom of the screen for the older H3. But most of the functions remain the same. And as I saw, most of the shortcuts, for instance, 3 starts the scanning. And long pressing 1 starts the frequency, 1 key frequency scan for frequencies that are transmitted in the area. The fonts are a little bit bolder on the H3 Plus, just minor things that I noticed as I talk to you. And I think it's time to do a power test here. Right now I'm in UHF 445 MHz low power, and let's see what we get here. 1.5 watts, perfect. I'm going to change that to high power in UHF again. 5.2 watts, just above 5, okay, perfect. And let's go to VHF, another frequency, 145.6 MHz. This is low power, 0.8. And if we switch to high power in VHF, we get 4.9 watts. Perfect. About those values, I will explain maybe in another video. I had a minor problem with my radio when it arrived, but TIDRADIO has released a calibration tool in which you can alter a bit the power levels of your radio. Of course, you have to take a backup before you begin of the power levels that are stored in the radio when it arrives from the factory, just in case you do something wrong, and of course don't exceed the recommended values. You have to know what to do in order to alter this, and do it at your own risk, as always. Right, so this is the wireless speakerphone, the Bluetooth one. There's a battery pack back here, removable. It reminds me kind of the old Nokia packs, if you remember, if you're a Generation X guy or girl. Let's have a look here.
Power on.
Power on. There's a Type-C port here for charging. Okay, the PTT button, and we have volume up and volume down. Nice. So when we have our wireless speakerphone, Bluetooth capable, we can go to Bluetooth here, pairing, and click, as we have already paired this, click here, connect.
Bluetooth connected.
Perfect. Now, this speakerphone works as a wireless PTT. As you can see, I press it and we have transmission here. The older one receives it and you can hear me with some echo. Even without antenna, we're very close. Perfect. It's very nice if you want to have this in your backpack and not have it out in plain sight for some reason. You can have this in your hand and talk. Pretty interesting choice. Of course, it needs its own battery and there's a Bluetooth connection between them, which means that there is some delay. You have to be careful about that when you want to talk with the PTT. The wireless PTT, always leave 1 or 2 seconds in the beginning, kind of the same way as we do in DMR radio. You just leave 1 or 2 seconds of silence and then start talking after pressing the button, because there's some delay that's introduced from the Bluetooth connection. Overall, this is an interesting piece of equipment for some operations that you don't want to show the radio. I know that TIDRADIO sells also in a pack another button, a very small one, PTT button, that goes in your finger and has a microphone. I think that's maybe for cyclists and motorbikes. I don't have it, it wasn't included in this pack. Now, I'll close this one here.
Power off.
Sorry, it was too loud. Okay, let's see how we can connect this to the smartphone.
Bluetooth connected.
We have some interference here. Okay, I don't know if you heard, but it said Bluetooth connected. And as you can see here in my smartphone, there is the entry TD-H3 Plus 7101. The numbers change. If you reset the Bluetooth settings in the radio, those numbers will change. Connected for calls and audio. Down here, I'm showing you an entry, a similar entry, TD-H3 Plus 7101 that ends in BLE, Bluetooth Low Energy. If you see this entry in your smartphone, do not select it. It won't work. You have to select the plain one to make the radio work as a speakerphone, as a Bluetooth speakerphone. And if you need to pair those two, the smartphone and the handheld for some reason, and it doesn't work, just reset the Bluetooth settings and put the Bluetooth mode in receiver, the first menu up here, not the down one that says emitter, the first one that says receiver. Okay, and let me see what I can do. So, as you can see, I have started playing a video in my smartphone and I can hear it from the radio. It's the one that I was telling you about, that I was receiving a call in my smartphone and this one acted like a handset. I could receive the call or drop the call from the buttons on my handheld radio, buttons 1 and 3. An interesting function, maybe some of you will find it useful, I don't know. Of course, obviously, since this acts like a Bluetooth speaker, you can play music through a smartphone to your handheld radio. If you have music files in here and to play them in your handheld, you can do this through Bluetooth. That was the presentation and the unboxing of the H3 Plus. I will connect it to the laptop and see how to do a firmware upgrade and the programming of this radio through the CPS and of course CHIRP. And of course, because I am always forgetting something, before I connect this radio to my laptop and see the programming there, just to mention that this radio, as the H3, comes in 3 flavors. You can find them in TIDRADIO's site. You will find links for this really good priced radio in the description of the video. It comes in 3 flavors: ham radio, GMRS and unlocked, and the procedure of selecting which one you want is the same as the H3. Just to remind you, with the radio turned off, you hold PTT star button and turn the radio on. You will be presented with a menu like this: 1 ham radio, 2 normal and 3 GMRS. Depending on the area you are, you might want to lock this in ham radio frequencies, GMRS frequencies, or unlocked, which is the normal. If you select number 2, for example, which is unlocked, you will be presented with a menu saying that all data will be erased, and select yes or no to proceed. So now I will select no, and the radio will continue to boot in the state it was. Simple unlock procedure for the H3 Plus, exactly the same as the H3. Let's go to the programming. Alright, I have connected the H3 Plus to my laptop, and as I told you before, here is the table that's released from TIDRADIO with the differences between the H3 Plus and the H3, the older model. As you can see here, we have the connection with Bluetooth, text messaging function, SMS, with another H3 Plus, 3 display modes and menu colors, multi-language support. From what I saw, it has English, Russian, Chinese, of course, Turkish, German, I don't know if I'm missing something. Edit channel name and prompt tone. in the radio, upgraded firmware with ODmaster, 8-band frequency receiving, that's the same with the older TIDRADIO, the older H3. And as you can see, of course, down here we have a very upgraded Bluetooth module with newer versions of the Bluetooth protocol, and of course, a very upgraded CPU and internal and external storage. The CPU clock has gone from 30 MHz to 240 MHz, which for a radio of this kind is pretty good, I would say, and pretty strong. So, before I continue, I will do a quick firmware upgrade, since when I received the radio, I also got the newest file, 1037, and here is the upgrade instructions. Nothing extremely difficult to do. You just have your H3 connected with the USB-C cable to your laptop, and with the radio closed, you press the PTT and number 3 button and turn on the radio. You will see a message on the radio that says entering upgrade mode, and the screen will go black after that. So here is the update program that comes with the firmware. It's this one here, okay. Let's open the firmware file. That's the latest one, H3 Plus 1037, at the moment that the video is made. And as you can see down here, you can see the device is online and some characteristics about the device. Okay, we can select reset after success, just to clean everything that's in the radio. Maybe sometimes this is better. And we press update. The process is really fast, as you can see through the USB-C cable. And it's done. The radio just rebooted and connected back to the laptop. So that was the firmware upgrade, pretty easy, pretty quick with the USB-C cable. Here we have the CPS programming software offered by TIDRADIO. The looks are the same with the H3. I'll just do a quick read. And as I always suggest to my videos, this is the first thing you have to do when you get a new radio, any radio. Open the CPS, open the factory software, and take a backup of what's inside the radio. Save this file to your records to have it for later. Always do this, and someday you might need it. So those frequencies here were passed from the factory. I can also check here what do we have. H3 Plus. Frequencies here are locked, as you can see. 3 bands, 200 to 600 MHz, 136 to 174, and another band, 108 to 136. I think it's pretty great. Here it needs a password to change those frequencies here, but I don't think there's any need for that because it's really wide. Remember, I have this radio in unlocked normal mode, not in ham mode or GMRS. In this menu here is all the features that you can also set from the menu of the radio, and I do believe that maybe some are missing. Most of them are here. Okay, yes, I could just open those. This is the power message, EF1. Yes, I do believe that they need to work a bit on this software here because some things seem to be missing, like the PF2 key. There should be here to configure the second key, the second programmable key. Also, another thing that I noticed is that in the radio we have up to 1 to 4 battery save. Here in the CPS there's 1 to 8, but if I activate it, it won't be shown in the radio. Just something I noticed. And I'll close this, sorry. I can't say that I find it very productive. Of course, we have CHIRP. Just a quick look here. I am saying this with a warning. I will put the link in the description of the video, the driver for CHIRP is still experimental. At the moment that this video is made, it's not incorporated in the CHIRP software and it has to be loaded separately as a driver. It's still experimental, but from what I have seen, it works just fine. It's a combined driver for the new H8 version 3 and the H3 Plus. So I have downloaded the driver, the latest file I could find, and in CHIRP, if you know your way around, you can load the module from here. If you don't know your way around, search my videos, you will find an extensive guide of how to use CHIRP. Of course, the warning comes up every time you load an external module. Here we are. Now, if I go to download from radio, I have the USB connected. And as you can see here, I have this option, TD-H3 Plus, and another option for the H8 Gen 3, which I don't have, but I'm just showing to you. The usual warnings from CHIRP. And here we are, the frequencies that we saw before, and all the settings that are in the radio with everything as it should be, in my opinion, even the settings that the CPS doesn't have. For example, here you don't have to do the hack to unlock your H3 Plus between ham GMRS and unlocked. You can do it from CHIRP. Just select what you want here. Everything else in the menu is down here. Let's see the power save. Right, it has up to 1 to 4. Okay, frequency, name. I like to display the name of the station. Scan mode. Priority TX, beep tone. Roger. Okay, we put Roger to off. Brightness is okay. And here are the 4 options for the 2 programmable keys, as you can see. The first one is as PTT2, so it doesn't have a long press function. It shouldn't have one when this is set to PTT2. It doesn't have the other 4 languages in CHIRP, but I think you can change this on the radio. It's no big deal. Timeout timer, activate the AM band, transmission to other bands as well. Scan band, of course, all. Power on message, okay. Here we have the Bluetooth settings. Maybe this section is not finished. It doesn't have all the options that are in the menu of the radio, but you just can turn the Bluetooth on and off. The standard VFO settings, of course, when you are in VFO, the default settings. FM radio to pass your stations if you want. DTMF stuff. And this is the section that I said that has the TX Power Tune options, which I'd like to explore a bit more because I made some changes here and they didn't reflect back to the radio. So I'll wait, maybe they will fix this in a newer version of the driver. But at the moment they show a value of 255, which is the max value it can get. So I'm not changing anything here. The other tabs are of no interest. So we can, as usual, open maybe a stock configuration or a save file from CHIRP and copy all the channels that we want and paste them back here quickly and easily, for example, and write them back to the radio. Right, so this was a quick presentation for the H3 Plus. Maybe we'll see this radio again in another video if we have something updated or upgraded. Any other thing that I might notice or get feedback from TIDRADIO, I will report it here in my channel. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe to the channel. It helps a lot. I hope you enjoy the content. Let me know in the comments if you have this radio and you like it or not. And see you next time.